New York, and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning. Laura Styles, Rosenberg, Tank is on the program. It's been a few years. New album out. What's the album?
Elevation.
Speaking of elevation, you've elevated into the, I guess, the ire, the eye of, Twitter, social media.
Yeah.
Saying that you've said some things that are, I guess, culturally unacceptable by the Shade Room comments and YouTube comments about, this is where I understood the quote. I still have not heard the audio.
Okay.
I only saw it on social media. So, because and by the way, I had to go look for it. It hadn't even come across my feed.
Right, good.
Tank says, just because you've had a same-sex encounter, it does not make you gay. Is that the quote?
More or less. That's the sentiment.
That's the sentiment.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
And why, how did you come to this conclusion? Is this your own personal experience?
Okay. First of all, I don't know how we got there. We was talking about lying, right?
Lying. Okay.
So that's how the two incident thing came up. So if a person lies twice, are they a liar? I was like, well, I don't know if they're a liar. They lied twice, but I don't know if they've necessarily developed a skill to be called a liar after two lies.
And what you're talking about now is nuance and semantics and things that the internet is terrible at handling.
Horrible at.
Yeah.
So then Angela thinks it's a great idea to bring up penises.
Got it. Well, you're on her podcast, which is
about it's about
penis,
that.
vagina, and other sexual endeavors.
So if a man does that twice, is he considered gay?
Oh, so she went to trap you. She went to get you.
She went left.
No, she went to get you.
Yeah, and I said, you know what? This is great. Let's do this. I said, no, it doesn't make him gay. Because I believe that a journey or experimentation doesn't label you until you make the decision on exactly where you want to go with it.
Now, we've had this conversation on this show where we've talked about gay versus being homosexual, right? And the technical term for same-sex, what used to be, and now I think it's a taboo term, is homosexual, right? Like meaning same sex.
I don't think it's taboo.
I thought that was the right word.
Yeah, I don't think it's taboo.
But that's a science word, technically, right? That's
I thought
like
gay
in
was
science.
the bad word.
I don't think either's bad. I think gay and homosexual are both.
I think you're good.
We're in the clear?
I think you're both
Okay.
wrong.
Okay.
Fine.
Both wrong.
And then I was told by a gay person that gay speaks to people who fall in love with. Like, I want to be in a relationship with a person of the same sex, right? It's deeper. It's more than just sexual now.
Absolutely.
This is a real relationship.
It's the real lifestyle. It's the real thing.
Yeah, this is who I want to be with. This is my person. I've fallen in love with this person.
Right.
Same thing with lesbian, you know what I mean? So is that what, and obviously you're probably hearing from people who don't live any of these lifestyles passing judgment on your statement.
Well, it went from me commenting on a third-party conversation to all of a sudden Tank said he's tried it twice.
Now, so is that a part of your sexual journey
It's not a part of my sexual journey. It's never been a part of my sexual journey. It's never going to be a part of my sexual journey. God bless the people who've had to have that journey in order to find themselves sexually. I'm not speaking to every situation, right? Some people know clear cut as day. As soon as they know what they want, they know what they want. Period, point blank. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking about that there are people who are lost in trying to figure themselves out in that space.
In all spaces.
In all space, maybe.
We're looking at Kanye West right now trying to figure himself out. In a spiritual space.
In a spiritual space.
Yes.
But for me, in that space of trying to figure that out, I don't think that it's fair to place judgment on that space. Once you come out of that space and decide where and what you want to be,
yeah, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Well, this is very simple. You're stating you are what you say you are and what you want to be. Like, and whoever. Why I don't know why we always have this conversation. In hip hop, we're always trying to apply labels to people on this station and down the street, everywhere else in this world. We are always trying to apply. Wait, how many dicks does it take to mean you're gay? I just don't get it. Why do we have to apply that to other people?
Well, because that's what people do. The
Yeah.
same
Why?
way.
I firmly don't give a fuck what people do.
So let's pull it out of sexuality. And the reason I brought up Kanye West is because I know that's another polarizing conversation.
Right.
Where you have someone that we all love musically that we're watching that person go through a change.
Right.
Political change, spiritual change. A lot of changes are happening with him. Boom. And whatever the cause may be, everybody's jumping to a conclusion on it. You got people that love the fact that he put on a MAGA hat saying Kanye's MAGA now. People who hate it also attributing that to him. You have him being like, well, if that makes you feel some type of way, fuck it. I am then, right? In the past, he was like, I don't even really vote, right? We heard audio of him in an interview with Zayn on Apple Music talking about, I'm a liberal. He all over the place. But people always, in every scenario, want to put people in boxes, keep them in that box, even when sometimes they may change.
I don't know that I agree with the comparison because Kanye putting on a MAGA hat has actual real-world ramifications. If Tank decides tomorrow to suck a dick, and I don't think he will.
I won't.
His wife would be upset, for starters. But if that happened, it would not affect the world at all.
But for some people, and this is where I push back on you, some people in their community, in their house, it has real world ramifications because of their spirituality, their culture, however they've been programmed. Maybe not at the same scale. Maybe not the same scale. But still, people feel some type of way when people make these personal choices.
But that's the part that I have a problem with is people still feeling a way. We still feel very behind the times.
What are you
in that
talking
regard.
about? Because people feeling a way about someone's personal choice.
Someone's personal choice,
Yeah, like I care about.
Well, because we're mature enough to understand it's none of our business. It's their business.
I don't need to know whether anyone in here decides to start getting. I don't care about what anyone here does sexually. Period. Like with opposite sex, I don't. We don't talk about. I don't want to know what you do.
And let me keep going down the political path. Mostly, nobody really cared about your political affiliations when I was coming up. Like if you was a Republican, I don't agree with you, until we had leadership that was aligned with white supremacy. When it became aligned with white supremacy, hate, division, it became more than just.
Wanted to know where everybody stood. Yeah.
Then it was like, yo, where you at?
Where you at? Yeah. Who you
because
with?
Now.
Some other things were at stake.
And I almost feel like you're arguing against yourself. Because of that, that's what makes the MAGA hat such a big deal. On the flip side of that coin, sexuality, in my opinion, has become even less of a big deal as time goes on.
But for people who are raised with religious programming or some sort of, that means that it's still in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they're still.
Well, then too, as you say, sexuality has become less of a conversation. It hasn't. Like as you take a moment like this that I'm having right now, like you would think that, maybe if I listened long enough, I would say, oh, he didn't say that. But they didn't care to listen because the uncomfortable side of that conversation, that's the part that exuded for mostly everybody. So instead of saying, oh, shoot, Tank might be gay, that's different. You know what I'm saying? But he's still a special human being. They said, no, Tank's gay. They threw those like daggers. So hopefully somehow calling him gay will destroy something about him.
Because we're still in a society where they want to have an aha moment and people still weaponize homosexuality as an insult.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go back to the sexuality piece. If a girl has some same-sex encounters, you labeling her gay?
Well, it's very much a double standard.
It's definitely a double standard.
Just putting it out there so we can make sure we cover it.
Absolutely a double standard.
But the double standard does make sense. Let me put it this way. Since people don't find women, let's say kissing women, to be taboo, they consider it to be sexy and fun. Once you're a man who decides to do something with another man, it probably means there's a deeper interest. Because of the societal risks you're willing to take to do that, it might mean that you have a deeper interest in doing that than the woman who gets drunk on a Saturday and kisses her friend, which has no ramifications. But if I decided for the first time in my life, I'm going to go be with a man, and I'm willing to take on everything that comes with that, it probably means your desire to do so is pretty strong. So I think we apply that like, whoa, you must be gay if in our society you're willing to do that.
A woman's desire to kiss another woman, it comes from the same place of curiosity that it would if a man decided to do it.
But but I think it's been dressed up differently.
No, y'all are saying the programming is such that we
Yes.
judge it differently, but I'm saying that the actual human spark that causes both scenarios is probably
not
similar.
the same. Not the same, because a girl can just be having fun.
Right.
Right, but you're going back to society.
No. I'm saying in her mind, I was just having fun with my girl.
Programming. That's still programming.
But the programming matters here.
It does. And a guy is not going to be like, oh, we was just having fun. Like,
you have to be very confident.
He's saying it has to be much deeper.
I call bullshit.
Then
we got this thing called white boy games, and I'm glad we got a white boy game. There's a thing called white boy games.
Well, we call it white boy games.
No, everybody calls it white boy games. And everybody knows what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about, right? White boy games.
Does he know? Do you actually know, Tank?
Let's
I kind of
define
have an idea of where this
for
is
the
going.
people who are listening who might.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we got a white guy.
That only.
And I got a white brother, so I know about white boy games.
You're half white. You have white boy games in you somewhere.
I've never played white boy
But
games.
it's there.
But
You
that's
get
because
it.
I got a black dad who was like, yo.
You not playing them games.
Otherwise, you might end up playing white boy games. Black people have played white boy games before. It's not common, but it happens.
So white boy games are, they show each other their junk and they slap each other in the junk and they, do these things that for jokes.
Mm-hmm. They think it's funny.
Nobody's like, yo, them white dudes is gay. White dudes and sexuality is different than black dudes and sexuality.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
And it's funny, as a teenager, definitely played those games. And definitely afterwards, we looked back and we're like, well, yo, what was really going on at that time? Because no one thought about it being gay.
In a sexual
But there was
way.
definitely a lot of nudity around for no reason.
You guys
all.
were having fun. I'm not saying
We
that
were
it
just
was
having
wrong
fun.
or
That's
whatever
my
it
point.
was. I
But
see what you're
that's
saying.
my
Right.
point.
That is an interesting point.
So you're saying it plagues us.
But Ebro, hold
The
on.
hyper-masculine black male,
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
this burden to carry as a black man. You have to carry this thing. You have to behave accordingly. And look, we could go all the way down the rabbit hole
it
of
came
why
to
that
me
exists.
as like in a comment, look at what you're feeding our black kings and queens. I was like, I just have an opinion about something. How am I feeding them something?
Oh, I have an update. I have an update for you on what kings and queens were doing back in the day. By the way, if you want to know, black, white, or otherwise, let me tell you about some of the things that were happening.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
They were always out here.
It was really wild.
According to the history books, everybody was out.
Yeah, so
I'm glad you came by the program. It's not as, for us, this conversation is not as trivial. Like we have dealt with, people dealing with sexuality in many shapes and forms, all the way even to being sex addicts.
And in real ways.
And in
you know
real
what I'm saying? In real ways. Yeah.
Because we are, and we still crack jokes.
Right.
Right? Like, just a second ago, he just said, if I were to go out and suck a dick, I'm going to take that audio.
I don't know if I said that. I specifically said Tank, so you wouldn't do it.
I'm going to edit that audio and play it back.
No.
So we still have fun with it. It's still a good time. But yeah,
Right.
if you're going to spray it on my ass, it better be something expensive.
So that's, listen, these are the things that we do.
But that's also because we, look, man, I'm not uncomfortable with my sexuality, and some people haven't really allowed themselves to have dialogue to know where they stand with their sexuality.
Well, yeah, they haven't even had that conversation with somebody on the other side. You know what I mean? I've had those conversations. Like, where are you at with that? How did you get there? You know what I'm saying? And there are so many different scenarios and so many different ways that these things come about that, it's just hard to judge every person's journey and overall who they are as a human being, their existence.
Do you believe the world that you exist in as an artist, right, a black R&B singer, comes with this kind of box that you're supposed to fit neatly in, and any time that something tries to step out of that?
There's definitely a box. And every time we kick through that box, we feel it. You know what I mean? But
even though you have great singers, phenomenal legends like Luther Vandross,
right.
like whose sexuality was something that I don't know what his but it was known that he was gay.
Right.
Like that was a thing. Luther Vandross, one of the greatest singers we've ever seen in R&B.
Right. Yeah, there's these pseudo rules to being a black R&B singer, but I do what I want to do. You
do
know
you
what I mean?
actually? Do you think that if you felt a desire to do something with a man, like some level it existed. Now it's different. You're married. I get it. But if you weren't and it hit you, do you think you'd be brave enough to do it? Because I don't think I would. I think if it crept into my mind, I was like, I'm kind of feeling like a certain way. Maybe I've changed. Maybe I am interested. I think I would societally be like, yeah, I'm gonna just put that away. I'm gonna go ahead and not focus on that.
Because you don't want to deal with the ramifications?
Not in terms of other people even, but just what I would feel about myself. Like what I would be like, wait,
the guilt of your own.
I don't know if it's guilt or just being like, does this mean that I'm gay? And now what does that mean in society? Like, I think that I'm just being honest with myself as we're talking about it. I've never had that interest, but if I did, I think I'd probably push it away and be kind of scared of it, to be totally honest with you.
I don't even have an imaginary plot.
See, I've had this conversation on the air before because I've been on the air since I was 15 and having these convos where you're challenged to a point to figure out, okay, what exactly do you like sexually?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And how do you see relationships, whether they're relationships with men and relationships with women? And I'm saying relationship with men is like, I have a relationship with you. I've known you for a long time. Relationship with you, Shawnee, Ron, Stu, we have relationships. It's not sexual, though, right? Well, and so...
Ron, Stu, I've heard you and him.
Oh, my God, just shut up.
Okay, sorry.
So anyway, in that piece, you go, okay, so what do I like? Oh, I'm attracted to femininity. That's what I like. Mm-hmm. But I'm not attracted to men that act feminine. I'm attracted to women that act feminine. I'm not attracted to masculinity. It doesn't turn me on at all. Right. So that, and when you explore that in your mind, you're like, what do I like sexually?
It's clear. Or it should be.
Not everybody is.
But not everybody is.
Not everybody's clear.
They're like, well, I like this and I like that.
Everybody's not clear.
Right.
You know what I mean? So how do we judge those people?
Or they clearly like both.
Or they like it all.
Yeah, they clearly like it all.
Which is fine. It's
it's
totally fine. But
you're
that's
doubling
me.
you're doubling your opportunity.
That's how I think. I think it's okay to live whatever life you want to live.
I think what you got exposed to is that the community that enjoys Tank is not as forward thinking on this issue as you would like.
Honestly,
and that's a separate conversation.
But I honestly don't think those were. I don't honestly don't think those were Tank fans.
I don't even mean
attacking me.
The world in which you operate.
Okay.
This world that we're in has not been progressive on this issue.
Now, our YouTube commenters are...
You mean the scourge of the planet? Fuck all of y'all.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a certain audience, but people who, like, we could open up the lines and I could run through people who don't even have social media. I met another listener yesterday who does not have... She was like, and she's a mom. She's 32. She does not have social media.
Right.
She's like, I wasn't into it. It's end of thought.
But I've also heard the conversations like, now everybody's forcing all this gay stuff on me.
We hear it all the time,
Newsflash, gay people have been here forever. It's nothing new. These conversations might new for you, but they've been here.
I think they've been here forever, but I think the integration is different. And
the social acceptance is different.
Okay, social acceptance.
Even in terms, even outside of social acceptance, I think that the idea of trying to find more space, that's happening where it didn't happen before. You know what I mean? And
so that's new. I give you that.
That's very new, and it almost feels like a fight, like you know how
See,
black
but here's
people
where I
fought
call
to be.
bullshit.
I'm just saying what it feels.
I agree with you. I agree with you, and I don't disagree with the fight part. But what I call bullshit on, back to what Laura just said, is that every single person in their church, in their community, in their family, at their job, even when it wasn't socially acceptable or as on display readily in TV or whatever, saw these relationships in some or knew about them in some way.
It doesn't mean they accepted it though, and they were good with it.
I'm not saying they did, and they don't now. But to act like they didn't exist or they weren't there or it's not be, it wasn't is I call bullshit.
Well, I'm not sure what the protective layers were when I was growing up as a kid. But when I was growing up as a kid, I knew of one might be gay person.
It might be. People talked about it.
He was the organist at the church.
Okay, but because a lot of them were scared to come out.
They played the tambourine?
No, just the organ.
Because they always say the tambourine player.
Just the organ. He was nice too, though.
Lose their family, lose their friends, get beat up.
It was just whispers, and but the layers of protection in terms of that were just different back then. I didn't know nothing about that growing up as a kid. I didn't even know that was an option. But now it's readily available in your cartoon.
But does that make you? Do you
option.
think that now makes somebody curious and potentially somebody who wasn't? Because I don't believe that either.
I think it's both. I think it's number one, exposing an option probably too early for a mind that's not ready to process it. Mm-hmm. I don't think no sexuality should be in a cartoon, whether it be heterosexual or homosexual. It shouldn't exist. Mm-hmm. Like, we're programming way too early. You know what I'm saying? That's my only problem with it. I'm not picking one thing out. That goes all the way back.
They had sexuality, people getting married, kissing at the altar. Like, even now, my little girl, I'm watching these cartoons, the original Beauty and the Beast. When Belle is like running from the dude who's like pushing up on her when she wants. Remember in Beauty and the Beast, the dude comes in her crib and he's like wants to be with her and he's chasing her around the crib. I'm like, hey, yo, what was they doing in
He's mad
cartoons, man? There's a Me Too in the cartoon.
Yep. Yes.
And it was like everybody was okay with it in the cartoon. So sexuality been in cartoon.
It's been, but like I said, the layers of protection in terms of how I grew up, I just wasn't allowed to. It was He-Man. It was Voltron, it was Transformers, it was G.I. Joe, and that was it. But everybody has to protect theirs however they have to. But it's like the spaces are becoming limited in terms of where that protection is.
But I would question where in these so-called cartoons with these themes, I would question where you're actually seeing sexuality as opposed to
relationship.
No, not only that, or not even that. A character who may appear like if you were guessing as an adult, you'd be like, oh, I think that character is supposed to be gay. But as a child consuming it, you would just notice that character has a way of being. That's how that character acts.
No, and I hear exactly what you're saying.
Because they're not showing them.
I hear what you're saying.
Having sex.
Look, Issa has already asked me after watching a kids cooking show where the parents of one of the kids was two men. And she said to me, Daddy, how come that kid's parents are two men? Where's the mom? And I said, well, some people choose to be together even if they are man and man or woman and woman. That's their choice. People choose different lifestyles. And I left, and she was like, oh, moved right on. Kept it pushing.
Yeah.
Right? But once you teach a kid that people have choice and they choose different, kids are like, okay, because they're already inundated with the idea in school that people are different, right? That's something that kids are learning at 5 and 6 years old.
Absolutely.
That, kids have different food, ethnic foods, religious celebrations, different holidays. There's all these differences that people are consuming. If you don't make your child afraid of learning differences, I don't really think you have as much to worry about. And you're also making them secure about being themselves at the same time because everybody's different.
Right.
My daughter has different hair texture than anyone else in her class. So her hair's not as long and she doesn't get to wear, she doesn't get to have the blonde hair and she doesn't get to do this and we don't let her straighten her hair. So she's already got to learn and I got to help teach her along with the rest of the family. You get to do stuff with your hair that everybody else can't do though.
Right, but the question is where does the line get drawn in terms of what's exposed to our kids?
Well, I think there's just adult content. Now you're talking about adult content.
Well, I mean, we're
and I think everybody makes that line based on their house.
Yeah,
right?
we're racing towards a very pushed back line.
Yeah, the line is definitely moved.
You know what I mean?
The line is definitely moved.
Yeah, so we gotta.
And I think, but another thing I would encourage a lot of people also is, the human body and the anatomy doesn't necessarily have to be sexual.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Having your private parts as a boy or a girl, and these are my private parts, and those are their private parts, and that's not supposed to be touched by anyone, and that's not supposed to be, these things by anyone because that's your own personal body, and nobody should be in your space like that. Is a learning, but it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of times we sexualize the human body too soon for youth to understand that. Mm-hmm. We make things taboo that don't necessarily need to be taboo.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of that is also just social programming.
Right.
Because you go to other nations, other countries, you could see boobs everywhere. And there's women topless at the thing, and there's, you know what I mean, and there's people being more intimate on TV,
I just think
and it's
we
not.
just don't know how to act over here when boobs are out. It's just
But that's because it's
Because
been
it's
made
welcomed that
taboo.
way.
We don't know how to act.
Because it's been made taboo.
Right. I mean, yeah.
The same thing with what we're talking about this whole time. We're whack on all of these subjects. Every single subject. We care way too much. We just care too much about all of these things.
There's a care there.
Just like, I don't understand. Honestly, I mean,
I don't. But that's just me.
But that's how
which is
we
why
got
I'm
here.
able to speak freely.
Right. And we appreciate you wanting to come up here and have a mature convo.
Absolutely. And an adult this felt like an adult conversation.
Does it feel like evolution?
Yeah. Elevation.
Or elevation?
Wow.
Does it feel
It felt like both.
Okay, elevation. See, I thought I was gonna tie it back to the album. I missed that. I was going for it. Yo, get that new Tank album, Elevation, man. It's good to see you, brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man.
Always.
What's the single,
Always.
man? Let's play it.
I don't think you're ready.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yo, man, did you bundle all this up as an album promo? Was this album promo from the beginning?
No.
Gotta watch you, man. Because you heavy on social media
listen,
too,
bro,
man.
if I was this good, this diabolical, shit, I pat myself on the back.
Give it up for Tank, man.